Here we are, it is December 10th of 2019, we are now just 10 days away from the official release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. A lot of people have mixed feelings about going into this movie. A lot of people feel very angry, very excited, very apathetic, worried about the franchise, and exactly how they are going to utilize the entire Skywalker saga. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future content. Now, one thing about Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is that there is no denying that Disney and Lucasfilm have a plan in place in order to really make this movie cater to the general audience, which, by the way, is a big problem by Disney and Lucasfilm, the fact that they are focusing on making this movie cater to general moviegoers instead of dedicated Star Wars fans. And that's exactly why they went through many of the different reshoots and the rewrites throughout the months of August, September, and October, as you guys may recall. Even J.J. Abrams confirmed that rewrites and reshoots went up all the way up until the month of October of this year, which really does speak volumes. I mean, we've never heard of anything like that before in a sequel trilogy movie, and that this really is beyond anything that Disney has done in the sequel trilogy so far as reshoots go. Now, on top of all of this, I want to talk about Kathleen Kennedy and Mark Hamill's portrayal of Luke Skywalker, and how Kathleen Kennedy destroyed the character of Luke once again in Episode 9. Now, specifically, alright, it's explained that throughout the months of August, September, and October is when many changes and adjustments were made to the second and third acts of the movie by Disney and Kathleen Kennedy. It said that one of the major changes had to do with them adjusting and restructuring the plot of the film to make the story cater to a general audience. Now, it said that this decision was made primarily by Kathleen Kennedy in order for the film to make more revenue and to perform better at the box office. It said that through these changes, many scenes were deleted in the process by Kathleen Kennedy, and that many scenes were sacrificed in order to focus more on the new characters, like Rose Tico, Zori Bliss, and Jannah. It's explained that Kathleen Kennedy came up with the plan to not include the character of Luke Skywalker in the marketing of the film on any posters or artwork or anything around those lines, so that fans could now focus on the new characters, and that more than half of Luke Skywalker's screen time has been deleted from the film, and that Luke now has a total of 10 minutes of screen time in the movie for the two Force Ghost scenes in the film and one flashback sequence in the film that would connect to the story of Leia as well. It said that Kennedy wanted to actually have as little Luke Skywalker scenes as possible, this way they could stick with their current running time for the film, and to focus on many of the newer characters being introduced in Episode 9. It was all Kathleen Kennedy's decision to reduce Luke's screen time significantly, and that in the initial cut of the film, Luke had 26 minutes of screen time, before many of those scenes were cut due to the reshoots and the rewrites of the movie by Disney and Lucasfilm, and that Mark Hamill was not happy at all based on that particular decision. So let's go over a couple of parts about this, everything related to Kathleen Kennedy and Mark Hamill's portrayal of Luke Skywalker, and why this is yet again kicking the fans into the dust and just leaving them there and not really caring. So I want to go over, what Kathleen Kennedy, did here. Essentially, she reduced, Mark Hamill's screen time as Luke Skywalker significantly. We are talking about from 26 minutes in the movie all the way down to 10 minutes. And what's funny is that when you go into a movie called The Rise of Skywalker, a lot of casual fans, right, are looking at this movie wondering about, who is the Skywalker that will rise? Is it Anakin? Is it Luke? Is it Kylo Ren? Because he's connected to the Skywalker bloodline. But if we actually go by the leaks, it's actually Rey is the one who rises as the new Skywalker because she calls herself a Skywalker. But beyond that, the thing that really gets me here is that Kathleen Kennedy is the one that decided to just cut Luke Skywalker's scenes significantly from 26 minutes down to 10 minutes, where now in the movie there are a total of 2 Force Ghost sequences, where you have one at one point in time earlier in the film and one later in the movie. And then you have a flashback segment in the second act of Episode 9 between himself and Leia dueling with lightsabers on Endor. Now, the thing about this is that this is all also done in order to keep with their current running time of the film, but to also focus on the newer characters like Rose Tico, Zori Bliss, and Jannah. let's talk about that for a couple of seconds here, is that I feel that a lot of Star Wars fans out there, they don't necessarily care about these new characters. Sure, they're great characters to be used as filler or to support the other major characters and to make them move along a little bit more better. But when we look at these new characters, nobody really cares about them because they are minor characters. These are characters that don't really need to be focused on in order to sacrifice scenes from major characters like Luke, Skywalker, and Palpatine of all people, right? So that's the problem, is that it seems like Disney throughout these 3 Star Wars movies is that every single film, they kept on adding in new characters one after the other. You know, with The Last Jedi, a prime example was Rose, Vice Admiral Holdo, DJ. None of that was really, it didn't really serve a purpose at all, because the Canto Bight sequence was meaningless. Vice Admiral Holdo, nobody really cared about that character, and Rose Tico didn't really do all that much either as well. They could have really given screen time more so to Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi if they cut out those 3 characters and just focused on the trio, Rey, Poe, and Finn. It would have worked a lot better. The movie would have been a little bit more better paced, I guess you could say, because there would be no Canto Bight sequence. And, of course, when we look at The Rise of Skywalker, on top of some of those new characters, we have other new characters. We have a total of, 8 new characters in this movie, for, of course, Episode 9, and just to name a few, we got Zori Bliss, we got Rose, we got Jannah, we've got Dominic Monaghan's character, and a whole lot more that are associated with the Resistance, and even the dark side of the Force that will be introduced. So, what's interesting about this, though, is that when we look at Episode 9, this movie really is a very important film to Disney and Lucasfilm. This movie will determine the future of the Star Wars franchise and where it will stand. And it just mind-boggles me that they tend to not cater to the dedicated Star Wars fans, the actual fan base that goes ahead and watches these movies and watches them, 2, 3, 4, 5 times if it's a really good Star Wars film. I remember when I first saw The Force Awakens back in 2015. I saw the movie, I believe it was 4 or 5 times. And it was because the idea of it all, where it could actually go. Wondering about, Luke Skywalker, what he's going to be like in the next movie. It opened up so many possibilities, and it really kept your mind wondering. And that was the strong point of The Force Awakens. Now, sure, it played it safe, and sure, it really felt like A New Hope at times, but at the same exact time, it was a decent Star Wars film because at the time, it was the first of the new trilogy, and everything ahead had numerous possibilities. So, with The Rise of Skywalker now, knowing that this is the end, and they're not really paying a lot of attention to the characters that we all know and love, I think that's one major problem by Disney and Lucasfilm. If I really have to be honest and real with you guys, that really is a major problem. So, Luke Skywalker and Palpatine's screen time being greatly reduced in this movie is yet another prime example of the incompetence of Kathleen Kennedy and why she needs to be replaced, and why the president of Lucasfilm needs to be an actual Star Wars fan, such as Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau, or anybody around those lines that really loves Star Wars to their heart. And I think that if they are to take over Lucasfilm, we would see Star Wars in a completely different way. Again, I think it's the main reason as to why nobody is having issues with The Mandalorian. Sure, the latest episode, there were more criticisms about it, but for the most part, The Mandalorian's doing good for Star Wars fans. A lot of fans actually like the TV series, and it proves that, yes, Disney can create Star Wars material that Star Wars fans actually love and enjoy consistently. And that just shows us that they have different plans for the movies because it's stretching out to the general audience more so. It's going out to more people. And so they want to send their message and their agenda more so in the actual movies because they know it'll reach more people. It's pretty apparent, obviously. So, with that being said, I would like to hear your take on everything related to Kathleen Kennedy, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.